What's up, geeks, and welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into the Apache Commons Lang3 library, an essential utility in the Java ecosystem. Part of the Apache Commons project, this library provides a comprehensive set of tools to handle text, numbers, objects, arrays, and more, streamlining everyday development tasks. Before using the library, we'll need to add its dependencies to our Maven or Gradle project. Once integrated, the library introduces several utility classes like StringUtils, ObjectUtils, ArrayUtils, NumberUtils, and others, each designed to simplify repetitive coding tasks. Let's start with StringUtils, a class widely used for simplifying text processing. It offers methods for validating, modifying, and transforming strings. For instance, the isEmpty method checks if a string is either null or empty, making it easy to handle such edge cases. In a real-world example, calling isEmpty on an empty or null value would return true, while calling it on a string would return false. Similarly, the isBlank method takes it a step further by also identifying strings that consist solely of whitespace characters. For example, calling isBlank on a string containing just spaces or tabs would return true, while it would return false for a non-whitespace string. The join method merges elements of a collection or array into a single string separated by a chosen delimiter. For instance, given an array of words and a delimiter, the result would be the generated string we see. The substring between method is another handy tool. It extracts a substring located between two specified strings. For example, in the example we have, calling this method with the tag parameters would return Geekific, making it especially useful for parsing HTML or XML. Additionally, the reverse method flips the characters in a string. If we were to pass the word subscribe to this method, it would return its reverse, which can be helpful for puzzles or algorithms that require reversed text. Lastly, the isNumeric method checks if a string contains only numeric characters, returning true if the input is strictly composed of digits. For example, calling this method on 1234 would return true, while calling it on 12a4 or an empty string would return false. Moving on to ObjectUtils, this class is invaluable when working with null or non-null objects, helping developers avoid common pitfalls like null-pointer-exceptions. The default if null method is particularly useful as it returns a default value when the provided object is null. For example, if we pass a null object and a default string, the method will return the default value passed, ensuring our code doesn't break unexpectedly. The not-equal method safely compares two objects for equality without risking a null-pointer-exception, even if one or both objects are null. For instance, comparing null with like would return true, while comparing two identical strings, like member and member, would return false. The max and min methods are also noteworthy as they return the largest or smallest value from a collection of comparable objects. If we pass the array of numbers we have to max, it will return 5, while min would return 1. Similarly, for an array of strings, max will return the lexicographically greatest. The ArrayUtils class is another gem in the library, simplifying array manipulations. Its isEmpty method determines if an array is either null or empty. For example, passing a null array or an array with 0 elements would return true, while passing an array similar to the one we see would return false. The add method appends an element to the end of an array, creating a new array with the additional element. For instance, adding 4 to the array we have would result in a new array. The contains method checks if a specified element exists within the array. Passing the array in front of us and the element 2 would return true, while checking for 5 would return false. The reverse method rearranges the elements in the opposite order, so reversing the array 1, 2, 3 will rearrange the elements of that array in place to be 3, 2, 1. A particularly useful method is toMap, which converts an array of key value pairs into a map. For example, passing the array we have as an example would result in a map where key 1 maps to value 1 and key 2 maps to value 2. Next up is NumberUtils, a class tailored for parsing and comparing numbers. For example, the toInt method converts a string to an integer, returning a default value if the parsing fails. If we pass the string 123, it would return the integer 123, but if we pass ABC or an invalid format, it will return the specified default value like 0. The isDigits method ensures that a string consists only of numeric characters, returning true for 456 but false for 45A6. It is similar to the isNumeric method of the StringUtils class. The createNumber method converts a string into a number, managing various formats appropriately. For example, passing 123.45 would return a value of type float, while passing 789 would return an integer. The ClassUtils class simplifies operations related to Java's class objects, making reflection tasks more approachable. For instance, the getAllInterfaces method retrieves a list of all interfaces implemented by a given class. For example, if a class implements the serializable and comparable interfaces, this method will return both in a list. The getShortClassName method returns an abbreviated name for a class, so calling it on java.util.linkedList would return just linkedList, improving readability in debugging or logging scenarios. The isAssignable method checks if one class is assignable to another, such as determining that integer is assignable to number but not the other way around. Lastly, the SerializationUtils class provides methods for serializing and deserializing objects. Its clone method creates a deep copy of a serializable object, ensuring all nested objects are cloned as well. For example, if we have a complex object with multiple fields and references, this method ensures that changes to the original object don't affect the clone. The serialize method converts an object into a byte array, while the deserialize method reconstructs the object from the byte array, making it easy to store or transmit objects. In the example we serialized and reconstructed the class we see. By using the Apache Commons Lang3 library, we can eliminate boilerplate code, reduce common errors like null-pointer-exceptions, and improve overall code readability and maintainability. So, whether you're building a complex application or simply need utilities for routine tasks, this library is an excellent addition to your Java toolkit. And that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful. Thank you guys for watching, take care, and I will see you in the next one.